At the dawn of hunting season, in one of the swampy corners of Florida, where the tropics seemed to merge with untamed wilderness, local rangers received a call that would be etched in their memory for a long time. One of the fishermen noticed something in the water so enormous that at first he mistook it for an overturned boat. Only when the boat slowly began to move and with a rustle emerged from the murky water did it become clear. It was a crocodile. But not just a large alligator, of which Florida has plenty. This was a monster. Its body measured over 15 feet long and its weight approached a ton. Its enormous snout, studded with teeth the size of a human finger and eyes gleaming with a predatory shine, inspired real terror. It turned out to be a male American alligator over 60 years old. He had lived in the local swamps for decades, feeding on anything he could find, from fish to raccoons and, according to rumors, even a couple of pet dogs. Scientists discovered that his metabolism had slowed to a minimum, which allowed him to gain mass and remain unnoticed. This monster, hiding in the murky water, became the largest ever recorded in this region. Journalists quickly picked up the news, dubbed it the Florida Monster, and tried to organize an exhibition, but biologists insisted the animal had to be returned to the wild. It was tagged with a GPS tracker and released far from human settlements, into a place where the swampy lands could accommodate such a titan. But if a crocodile can leave a person stunned just by its appearance, the next creature turns the very concept of size into something entirely different. A whale giant with the weight of a world. In the depths of the world's oceans lives a creature that is literally bigger than a bus, heavier than a tank, and louder than a jet plane. This is the blue whale, the most massive animal ever to inhabit our planet. Even dinosaurs cannot compare to its size. An adult male can reach 100 feet in length and weigh up to 200,000 pounds. That's the equivalent of 15 elephants stacked on top of each other. But its greatness is not just in its weight. The heart of a blue whale is the size of a small car, and its tongue weighs almost as much as an adult bison. The vein of this giant is so wide that a child could swim through it. And despite its gigantic form, it feeds on krill, tiny crustaceans that the whale filters from the water using thousands of delicate plates. The blue whale is also a record holder for loudness. Its call can be heard underwater for hundreds of miles. It's not just a sound, it's a vibration that penetrates the depths of the water like a warning to other giants. He rules here. But even such a creature once nearly disappeared. In the 20th century, whaling brought the blue whale to the brink of extinction. Today, their numbers are slowly recovering, and watching them in the wild is one of the most mesmerizing sights nature has to offer. Imagine an 80-foot-long shadow appearing beneath your boat, and then a gigantic silhouette surfaces, shooting a jet of water upward like a geyser. But while this marine titan impresses with its sheer size, the next creature intrigues us with how it manages to be so long and yet remain almost invisible. A snake as long as a bus. Deep in the Amazon jungle, where tropical darkness conceals secrets born of millennia of evolution, lurks one of the most fearsome inhabitants of the planet, the giant anaconda. Its size is neither an exaggeration nor a legend. The longest officially documented specimen reached nearly 30 feet in length. That's as long as a standard school bus. And all of it is pure muscle, covered in greenish-black scales, perfect for camouflage in the waters of tropical rivers. The anaconda is an ambush predator. It doesn't chase its prey, it waits, under the cover of foliage or in murky water like a living trap. And when the victim approaches, whether it's a capybara or even a caiman, it bursts from its hiding place with astonishing speed. But what is most striking is the way it kills. The anaconda is not venomous, it suffocates its prey. It coils itself around its target's body, tightening its grip each time the prey exhales until there is complete silence. After that comes swallowing. Yes, this is not a myth. A large anaconda is capable of swallowing prey wider than itself. Thanks to the unique flexibility of its skull and jaws, it literally stretches itself. And if the anaconda is impressive for its length, the next creature is frightening because you might not notice it until it's right on your face. A spider the size of a face. Spiders rarely inspire affection, but if you're afraid of them at their usual size, just imagine coming face to face with a spider as big as a human face. The Goliath bird-eater, which lives in the jungles of South America, is the absolute king of spiders. Its leg span can exceed 1 foot. That's not a mistake. 1 foot. Its legs are covered in bristles like thin roots, curved and highly sensitive to the slightest movement in the air. Unlike its smaller relatives, this spider does not spin webs. It hunts like a predator. It attacks, knocks its prey down, and sinks its enormous fangs into it. Its bite is so powerful that it easily pierces the chitin of insects and even the skin of small mammals. The Goliath's menu includes toads, mice, and even small birds. That's where its name comes from. When defending itself, it makes a strange hissing sound, rubs its legs together, and can fling microscopic irritating hairs from its abdomen. These hairs cause intense burning on the skin, and even temporary blindness if they get into the eyes. And although its bite is not fatal to humans, the experience is sure to be unforgettable. Researchers who have encountered the Goliath in the wild recall how it would run past their tents with the distinctive sound of clicking legs, as if someone had thrown branches onto dry leaves. Creatures of this scale don't just frighten, they seem to blur the line between a horror movie and reality. And if a spider can evoke genuine primal fear, then the next creature is a true monster from a puddle. It looks funny until it opens its mouth. A frog straight out of a nightmare. At first glance, it's just a bulgy-eyed frog. But as soon as the African horned frog opens its mouth, it becomes clear that you're looking at one of the most ruthless predators among amphibians. Unlike its harmless relatives, it doesn't catch insects with its tongue. It hunts from ambush, burying itself in the ground and waiting, then, as soon as prey approaches, it lunges in an instant. But what's truly frightening is that the frog is capable of swallowing prey as large as itself. Mice, snakes, other frogs, and even birds. Its jaws are so strong that it can hold onto a human finger, and that causes real pain. In South Africa, there have been recorded cases where this frog attacked snakes and triumphantly crawled out of the fight with the victim's tail in its jaws. Despite its strange appearance, it has an extremely aggressive temperament and can even lunge at a person if it feels threatened. In terrariums, it is called a living vacuum cleaner. It eats everything that moves. In the wild, almost nothing bothers it. Even birds try to keep their distance. The risk just isn't worth it. Inside this little barrel beats the heart of a true predator. But the next creature is neither an amphibian nor a reptile. This is a marine titan with legs resembling tentacles and the ability to paralyze with just its appearance. A giant crab from the ocean floor. Deep in the waters of the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Japan hides a creature that seems like an alien from another world. This is the Japanese spider crab, a true living artifact from the abyssal depths. Its limb span can reach up to 12 feet. That's more than the height of an average adult man with arms outstretched. At the same time, the crab's body itself is relatively compact, but its extremely long limbs create a truly intimidating impression. Its claws are like garden shears and its movements are slow, almost mechanical. It seems to creep along, never losing sight of its target. These crabs are not predators, they are scavengers, but their appearance often frightens divers, especially in dark waters where only a flashlight reveals this spider-like monster out of the gloom. What is especially astonishing is that Japanese spider crabs can live up to 100 years. Some researchers believe that their resistance to pressure and cold water allows their bodies to keep growing throughout their lives. There are even unconfirmed reports of crabs with a leg span of 15 feet. Despite their intimidating appearance, Japanese spider crabs are almost peaceful in nature, but just one glimpse of their silhouette in the water can make your heart skip a beat, especially if it's not just one, but an entire group slowly moving along the ocean floor like an army of skeletal soldiers. But what if the next ocean dweller is just as silent, yet far more dangerous with its touch than with claws? The giant invisible jellyfish. You might not even notice it until it's too late. A little south of the Australian coast lives the giant Cyanea, also known as the lion's mane jellyfish. This is not just a jellyfish, it's an underwater weapon of mass destruction. Its tentacles can span over 120 feet, which is longer than a blue whale. But length isn't everything. These tentacles are covered in stinging cells capable of paralyzing small fish or even causing a severe allergic reaction in humans. One careless encounter, and you'll feel hundreds of needles piercing your skin all at once. And the jellyfish's body itself is often almost transparent, making it nearly invisible in the water. Rising to the surface on cloudy days, it hunts anything that happens to come near. Scientists often compare it to a living ghost, majestic yet deadly. One specimen washed ashore in Nova Scotia was so enormous that locals at first mistook it for the remains of a sea monster. Its movements are graceful, almost hypnotic. It seems to glide through the water, leaving a trail of poisonous tentacles behind. This jellyfish is an example of how beauty can be deadly. But if the underwater world frightens with its silence and transparent menace, then the next chapter is a return to land, where a giant greets you, grunting and wagging its tail. A piglet the size of a bear. When a hunter in Georgia spotted something black, massive, and fast in the forest, he thought it was a bear. But what emerged from the bushes turned out to be a pig. And not an ordinary one. Standing before him was Hoaxilla, one of the largest domestic boars ever recorded. This monster weighed over 1,000 pounds. That's more than the combined weight of 2 adult men. He was the result of crossbreeding wild boars and domestic pigs raised under special conditions. It had tusks nearly a foot long, skin several inches thick, and such a powerful chest that even a bullet could get lodged in its tissues. This beast couldn't be contained in a regular pen. He would break wooden gates as if they were made of paper. When he was moved to a farmer's enclosure, they had to build fortifications as if for buffalo. Its behavior was aggressive and its appetite insatiable. He could eat a sack of corn in one sitting. The story of Hodzilla went viral. A photo of the enormous pig standing next to a hunter instantly spread across the internet, sparking thousands of discussions. Some said it was fake, others claimed it was the result of hormones. But experts confirmed it was all real. Such a thing is possible if you combine the genes of a wild predator with ideal fattening conditions. If that boar could frighten with its sheer size, the next hero is terrifying because of its genetic origin. It is half lion, half tiger. A head in the jaws of a lion. Imagine an animal that is stronger than a tiger, bigger than a lion, and looks as if it came straight out of a science fiction movie. This is a liger, a hybrid born from a lion father and a tigress mother. Unlike its parents, it's not just larger, it's a giant. The most famous liger in history is Hercules, who lives in a sanctuary in South Carolina. When standing on his hind legs, he is over 11 feet tall and weighs nearly 900 pounds. With a single swipe of his paw, he can knock down a horse. His face is bigger than a basketball and his mouth is like a portal to another world. Interestingly, ligers are not found in the wild. They only appear in captivity, since the habitats of tigers and lions do not overlap. But when such a hybrid does appear, nature makes an exception. These animals possess traits from both parents. From the tiger, they inherit powerful paws and musculature. From the lion, the mane and certain behaviors. Ligers have an astonishing rate of growth. In the first 2 years, they double the size of a typical lion. Scientists still do not fully understand why their bodies seem to have no limits. It is possible that this is due to the growth-inhibiting genes from each parent neutralizing each other. This animal is like a mythical creature, only real, and on top of that, social, capable of learning and forming attachments. And now we come to the conclusion. These giants are not legends, not exaggerations, but true records of nature. They prove that our planet is still full of surprises, sometimes frightening, sometimes astonishing, but always real.